Okay, in this one, I'm gonna jump right into my first prank. It's actually my favorite prank. I figured this out a few years ago, and we were just playing around at school. My teacher was teaching us some things about making folders, and I thought of something extremely evil, and for the next few years, it's been the favorite prank at school, even. Like, because it's so easy to do, and it slows down the computer really, really badly, and it's just annoying. Uh, there isn't any breakage involved. Nothing will break, I promise you. It's really, really, really annoying for the person. So oh, I love it. It's one of my favorites. So I showed you how to get to the CMD in another video. If you don't know how to do that, go watch the other video. Don't want to explain it here. It takes too much time. So first of all, we can type edit something. It doesn't matter what the name is. You can say fun.bat, whatever you feel like. And we're gonna make a batch file. That's what this is. Batch file basically runs a bunch of commands in command prompt without you having to enter them. You enter them all at once here, and then it'll run them all in a row. The thing is, I kind of don't like using this editor. It kind of annoys me just because it's mostly keyboard driven and everything. So what I usually do is I'll either just save this as fun.bat and edit it using text editor, or just open it with text editor right from the beginning. I'll just edit it this time and then edit with text editor, just show you the difference. But you can save a notepad file as a .bat to do the exact same thing. This first command here is @echo off. It basically makes it so that when this script runs, it doesn't display any of the commands. So if you have somebody that really knows their stuff about command prompt, and this just pops up, it's not going to show them all the commands, and they'll be like, oh, I know what's happening. They will have no idea, because it'll just show a line blipping right there, and you can even make it run in full screen if you felt like it, so that it would seem very scary to them. So @echo off just turns off the display of commands. Okay, now we're gonna add this start here. Don't worry about it right now. This is really simple actually, but I'm just gonna show you the command first that we're gonna do before I explain the start, because that doesn't come into play until a little later. This command is make dir. I'm pretty sure MD does the same thing, but I'd have to look that up, and I know make dir works. So make dir basically makes a folder wherever you tell it to. If I saved this to the desktop, then if I clicked it, it would make a folder on the desktop. If I saved it to the C drive and I clicked it, it would save a folder to the C drive, unless I change it in here. If I just put make dir Pascal, it would make a folder called Pascal wherever I save this. But that wouldn't be malicious yet. You're gonna see where this comes into play. There's a switch called random, which is one of my favorite switches. It can be very annoying. Basically all it does is generates a 5-digit random number. So when you make a directory, it's going to make it with a random number. If you just put a name in here, like Pascal, then it would check and say, oh, Pascal is already here, if you already created that folder. So it would only make the folder once, even if you looped this or pressed it a ton of times. So it wouldn't really be helpful at all. Like, you could just make them faster by hand at that point. But using random, it creates a random number, so any 5-digit number can be chosen here. So you can have an amount of folders up to 99,999 without doing anything by hand. And then there's this last line, go to start. Start could be anything. Like, I could change this up here to fish if I felt like it, just for fun. Go to fish. It doesn't matter what it is, it's just this is a breakpoint that when you say go to, it will go back to it. That's what this colon means. But I like start just because it gives me a good idea. Like, if I also made one that said go to end, then I would put if I wanted one to go to the end of the commands, I would name that end, just so I know in my head what it's for, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to leave it as start because it's cleaner. So then you hit File, Save As, And I would not recommend running this right now, seriously, because it's quite annoying. It's not going to break anything if you do, but it's very annoying. I'm going to save this to my desktop right now, just because it'll be easy to see right there. So you can see I'm already in the desktop, but if you were somewhere else, you could press this dot dot to move back. See, now I'm back in Pascal. I'm not in desktop anymore, but I want it on desktop, so I'm going to click there. So then I'm just going to leave it as fun.bat and save it to the desktop. Now, you can just either exit this, and then you'll be back at command prompt if you want to do some more that way. But I like editing them with a text editor, so I'll just show you over here. See, here's fun.bat. It was made right on my desktop. Now, if I can edit this with a text editor, it's exactly the same as editing it with something else, like, well, with the batch file thing in CMD, only I found it easier. My font's pretty big here, so I'm just going to shrink that down. Just make it easier. There we go. Okay, now you can edit it, and if you save it again, it's going to work just fine. So it's really your choice if you edit in CMD or here. But I'm just going to take out this start thing, because otherwise it would loop over and over and over and over and over and over, which would make tons of files, well, folders, and would be extremely, extremely annoying for me, which since I'm making a video right now, I really don't want that. So I'm going to save it, and that's going to save to this batch file right here. So when I X this off, you can edit it again if you feel like it. You can just hit edit, and you see that it saved it like that. So if I run this, it makes a random folder, random numbered folder. If I run it again, it makes another random folder. That's because it only makes one folder because I edit it. If I put in this start again, and saved it, if I double clicked on this, then it would just create batch files and tell you, well, sorry about not batch files, it would create folders until I X this off, which would be so incredibly annoying because it creates so many folders that the computer can barely move, and the user has to go to Explorer and wait like 10 minutes for it to load so that they can delete all of those. So it's a fun little prank that's really annoying, but it's not malicious in any way. So if you have some time on a friend's computer sometime, that takes 30 seconds to make. You could even have it on a pen drive all ready to go, drag it on and just start it, and then you could walk away, and they wouldn't even know what was up. They'd suddenly see their entire desktop covered with thousands and thousands of folders. There's also one more thing I'll show you really quickly, but you have to watch my FilePass video if you really want to play with this a bit more. But this makedir random, you can also create it in a certain place rather than just wherever you save this. Like, since I saved it to desktop, it'll make the folders in the desktop. But if I put backslash, always backslashes, it's not good. If you put a backslash, then this would make a ton of directories in my C drive. But maybe you want to make it in the desktop, but save it in the C drive. Then you would hit users, backslash, Pascal, because that's my name, and desktop. And this way, it would save it with a random name on my desktop, no matter where I saved it. So I could hide it somewhere and just run it every time they stepped away from their computer without even having to do anything. So that's a good way to do it. There's also the startup thing. You can drag it into their startup folder so that every time they start up their computer, it runs. And most people aren't smart enough to know how to get rid of that. So it's a great way to really, really annoy people. I'll show you how to put it, where the startup folder is and what the function of that is in another video, but you should also watch the startup folder because that's a very, very important one, especially with this.